Wow, so you literally had to create a miniature version of yourself to learn how to be selfless and responsible? That's sad. Welcome back, but if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Yesterday evening, I was at my mom's house, chilling on the couch, watching TV, and enjoying my salt and vinegar chips. Don't come for me. When my cousin shows up and asks if my mom could make some alterations on a dress for her. So while my mom is doing that, she plops down beside me and we start making small talk. The usual. How's work? How's life? Yada yada. Out of politeness, I ask her about the new baby. She has a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old. And her face lights up. And she starts telling me about how well they're doing and sharing silly toddler stories with me. And I was laughing because I found them genuinely funny. Then she proceeds to ask me if I still don't want children. I smile and say no. She asks why. And I tell her that I have many reasons, but it's mainly because I value my freedom. Then as usual, the bingo comes. She starts telling me that she used to think that her freedom was that important to her too, but then she had kids and learned how to be selfless and love unconditionally, and that's when she came to the realization that she was just running away from responsibility. As soon as those words left her mouth, I stopped eating, turned away from the TV, and fixed her with this really sympathetic look. Her looking at me with a confused expression. What? Wow. So you literally had to create a miniature version of yourself to learn how to be selfless and responsible? That's sad. No, it's just like having kids help with that. Seems like I'm one of the lucky ones then. I've achieved all of that through relationships with family, friends, partners, pets, and even strangers. There's already so much suffering in the world and so many people who need help. Silence. But hey, I guess it's harder for some people to achieve that level of growth on their own, so they have to create a human being first. Still quiet. But I wonder why some parents are still so selfish and irresponsible even after having kids. I mean, there are so many children out there being abused, neglected, and abandoned. Makes you realize that not every parent experiences that kind of unconditional love. Dead quiet. I turn back to the TV and continue eating my chips. Edit, so I have a confession. I've been saving this one up for a while. She was just my first victim. So tired of these damn bingos. I'll never understand why bingoers think it's inherently bad to run from the added responsibility of having children you don't even want or need. Like, heck yeah, I'm running. I don't need that kind of stress in my life. Just let me live and eat my chips in peace. Same. I've told people directly I don't want the responsibility of somebody else's life in my hands, which is also why I didn't become a doctor. I can only speak from my American perspective, but I think it goes hand in hand with the general attitude of crapping on anyone perceived as taking the easy way out. We're supposed to worship suffering. The self-awareness of knowing what you are capable of dealing with is ridiculed by, God never gives us more than we can handle, and the inspiration of people rising above terrible circumstances and similar sentiments. Oh God, yeah. Even in terms of working or career or money, there's always the notion of work hard, sleep later, rise and grind, never stop the hustle. Why would I want to do that if I'm just fine and happy with my comfortable job and life? I don't need to be a millionaire if I'm expected to hustle. LMAO. That just sounds tiring. Also, I don't think people think about the consequences of these choices because if you have kids and you're already in a difficult situation financially, not only is your lifestyle going to be different, way different, and way harder, your health is going to be neglected because you're not going to have the time to take care of yourself. You're probably going to be missing meals. If something happens to you and you live in America, you probably can't afford to go see a doctor about it. All of your attention and your resources is going to go towards your kid. Also, people always forget disabled people whenever they say rise and grind, hustle, hustle, hustle. Hustle culture excludes disabled people, and it also makes disabled people feel like we're not working hard enough, even though a disability is a disability. Your worth as a human being is not what you produce. Your worth is that you're a human being. Exactly. People always talk about how you should take on all these responsibilities, whether that's parenting or buying a house, or how you need to get into the best universities out there, and how you need to work your behind off to save money or have a stable job. Like, no, I don't need that. I don't need a high-paying stable job because it's just me, myself, and I. I don't answer to anyone but myself. I also don't need to have a family to take care of, and I don't need to have a mortgage to pay. I'm debt-free and worry-free in those regards. I'm not planning on ever buying a house or an apartment, nor am I planning on sinking a crap ton of money into a wedding if I ever decide to get married, unless I meet a man who cares about that and is willing to pay for it. Personally, I'm indifferent. I might want to get a tiny house someday if I don't get married though, but that's like in the distant future. Like, why would I want to add unnecessary responsibilities like that to my life when I can be free? Well, obviously I still have to work to do the things I enjoy, but if I can live comfortably on a $20 salary working 25 hours a week, why wouldn't I? Why take on extra responsibilities when I'm happy with the few responsibilities I have? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If she didn't want you to throw her words back at her, she shouldn't have insinuated that not having kids means you're somehow running away from responsibility. Also, parents seem to confuse gaining responsibility, character improvement, with gaining responsibilities, adding work to your plate. As far as character improvement, if someone is already a responsible adult, they don't need a child to improve them. If someone is not a responsible adult, they shouldn't bring a child into the world because it may not improve them, and then the child suffers. As far as work on your plate, no responsible adult should want to add any more responsibility to their plate than necessary. There is no gold trophy for the person with the most responsibilities. So hell yeah, you can be a responsible adult and run away from your responsibilities. That is one very good point. I have an illness which has taught me so much about self-care, empathy for people going through illnesses and who are disabled, etc. Yet I would never wish my illness on anyone, nor am I glad to have it. It's the same with being an abuse survivor. A family member pointed out that I am now building a career in psychology as though it somehow made the outcome of the abuse positive. I pointed out that wasn't the case. Yes, I've learned from the abuse and it's shaped me. However, it's left me incredibly flawed and it has meant I've had to work my behind off to manage the negative impacts and actually make something of my life. I'm sure that having a child is shaping in another way. I'm sure it does force people to grow up, keep routine, care for another, etc. However, let's not pretend that's an easy path, or is it necessary to function? I'm sure there is great joy and love in it. However, there is clearly also great pain and suffering. It's not right how people advertise only the good parts. Exactly. There's definitely people who become better and more responsible people after becoming parents, but then there's also those who don't become better or more responsible people after becoming parents. Some people become worse and less responsible because they can't handle parenthood, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is sadly how kids end up neglected and eventually ends up in the foster system. That's why kids should never be had for self-improvement, but be had because you know you can improve a kid's life by providing for them what they need. I was diagnosed with manic depression when I was 17. I'm now 44. I've attempted jumping off this earth a few times in my life. There have been a couple people who have told me I should have had a kid and that having a kid would give me a reason to live. What a messed up, selfish thing to do. Why would I consider bringing a child into my life when there are times I can't even take care of myself and be fully present or even afford the kid, just to give me a reason to live? It's such a sick, distorted way of thinking that a child's life is only to make you a better person. Anyone who thinks this way are exactly the type of people who shouldn't have kids. Just like you and others on here, I was able to find purpose and meaning in my life without having to breed. I just sit back and watch the people in my life who have kids have their lives ruined by their kids. My friend from high school has 2 kids, grade school ages. He took on a job he hates and got a house he can't afford because he had to make money to feed his brood. He hates his life and is second-guessing his marriage. Oh well. He can't take back the kids, and I have no sympathy for him. My cousin has a daughter who is 7, showing signs of mental illness and autism. The fact that his wife's side of the family has schizophrenia in it and addictions on both sides should have been enough to deter them from having a child. But his wife needed to find a purpose and reason for living, since she has no friends and no life. So they now cause another human unnecessary suffering, doomed to a life of mental illness. Good job. Most people are stupid and easily influenced by what society is doing. I deem them to be weak and incapable of thinking for themselves.